Hey guys, we're going to head on over to the garden today for our first weekly garden update. Let's head on over. So this is the garden at the very beginning of the season. It's quite long, so I do double wide rows. I have already placed in my seeds, so I'm doing spring crop first. So I'm up in Canada, so I have to be mindful that it's still pretty cool. So things that I have in here are radishes, turnips, carrots, beets, peas, broccoli, kale, and I also have some salads and herbs coming up. So I already have my arugula coming up, parsley, cilantro. I already have chives and oregano from last year that it came up, and my kale has regrown itself. So that's already coming up, but everything's already seeded, and we are about 2 weeks in, so some things are starting to come up, as you can see, and I'm going to have to thin out later. But one thing that has happened in the garden this week, what I've noticed is that now that I've been watering, because I did rake very well and all my gardens looked like this, which this is the one I just planted, but now that I've been watering, a lot of rocks are showing up, and these are from when I raked it at the end of last year and scooped up dirt that's eroded into the ground. I guess I also picked up a lot of rocks. So one of my chores I'm gonna have to do this week is go and pick out all these rocks, because it looked so nice before, but now that it's been raining and everything, there's a lot of rocks everywhere. One thing I did this week also is I have put down my mulch in between my rows. So this is grass mulch, and this is my new tactic this year. And the idea behind it, you can see I did it on all sides, is that I want to use this mulch as weed control. So I want to prevent weeds from coming up. I just put it down so it's still pretty fluffy, but in a week it's going to be nice and smooth. So I want to do some weed control. This is also going to retain moisture after I water, and it's also going to let the ground breathe, let the grasses move around, the gases move around through the soil. It's going to retain an ecosystem, and it's also going to decay and provide nutrients for the ground next year. Okay, so I'm not really a fan of landscaping. It was kind of blowing around and looking kind of silly last year, and it was quite hard to keep down. Now I also did it along the edge, around the outside. You can see that we have planted and finished landscaping this side of our yard. So this is just 1 week old grass, but I've put it here as well because what I want to do is provide easy mowing. So once this grass gets long, it's really hard to mow and edge around here. And if I have a nice barrier between my garden and my grass, we can just zip the lawnmower up and not worry about hurting my garden, okay? Already planted seeds in between all my rows, so here in the front and anywhere you see a sign. I have planted marigold seeds, and I've collected the seeds from last year's garden, okay? So that actually works really well. Last year I had no problems with any animals at all. I had no problems with animals. I had no deer eat anything. I had no coyotes in my garden, and no bears. In fact, a bear actually brought a neighbor's corn stalk to my yard instead of eating my corn that was just sitting out here. And another thing I did last year is I just put string around my whole garden on posts and put bells on it, so when anybody walked into it, the bells rang and scared them off. So that's all I could have done last year. We were still planting all the rest of the seed in our yard as we grew our own grass. So this is an experiment for this year, and we're going to be providing some weekly updates. So you'll be able to see how both the garden progresses through 2020, and if my experiment with grass mulch, which is free because we just use a lawn sweeper to sweep up our clippings after the lawn tractor goes over. So you're going to see if this actually does work. This is our garden update. Right now not a lot going on other than kale that regrew itself from last year, and I got Russian garlic and some strawberries and herbs. But other than that, I just got a little bit of seedlings coming up, and I'm still waiting for everybody else to show up.